Welcome to the Sailor Noob podcast, where a superfan and a noob talk about the original Sailor Moon episode by episode. I'm your host, Mikan Hana, joined by my co-host.
I'm the co-host, Caliban, and the noob, and I'm gonna make like a tree and search for a planet where I can grow.
Because apparently that's what you do. Who knew? And we're a couple of magical people ready to moon crystal power make up this episode. Sailor Noob is brought to you by the power of love.
Huey Lewis, the power of love, right? Isn't that a thing?
I was trying to think of
old.
like
that's old.
A song that was talking about like the power of love, and I guess I didn't really look that hard. I kept thinking about Hair, like the musical Hair, but there isn't, even though there's a lot of love and talk of love in that musical, they don't necessarily sing, power of love,
Huey Lewis.
Yeah. Okay.
Back to the Future soundtrack.
Okay.
when people Back to the Future, when are we going to get rid of the boomers? They'll get rid of themselves eventually.
Ooh, ouch.
No, I just they have a stranglehold on culture, and then we're going to remake,
I know.
Ghostbusters or whatever. And it's like, that movie is so old. And I love it, but it's really, really old. Yeah. And Back to the Future's like, let's go to the future. 2015 sounds good. It doesn't really.
I'm going to look far into the future.
Even when they made Blade Runner 2 or whatever, they're like 2049. That's not that. That's like 20 years from now.
I know, right?
It's not that far away.
It's like, guys, think a little further out. Not within anybody's lifetime who is alive right now.
I think we're not going to have Orange Las Vegas and flying cars in 2049. We're not. That's not going to happen.
I'm thinking you're probably right about that. Yeah.
Only the pop stars will be even more sort of homogenous and unrecognizable.
Yeah.
Sorry to all your favorite pop stars.
Dang it.
Well, I was talking the other day about I was trying to distinguish all the different pop stars.
Yes.
And I just heard that Halsey is pregnant. And I know who Halsey is now because I had to go look up who all the pop stars were.
You talked to me about her, but I still don't know what she looks like. So I can't picture. I have a name in my head, but
she has short hair now, but I don't think she's always had short hair.
All right, but there's no corresponding picture to go with that name.
I don't know.
Yeah, so I feel you. I feel very old in a lot of ways, and one of those
so does Huey
Lewis.
Lewis.
Yeah.
Although he doesn't look a day over 70.
Well, today we are talking about episode number 59, Mezameru Shinjitsu no Ai, Makaiju no Himitsu, in Japanese, True Love Awakens, the Makai Tree's Secret, the English translation, and the English title, Treed.
Yeah, I still don't, treed, up a tree? If a dog treed a cat, he was chasing the cat went up a tree?
I don't have an answer for you, because to me it sounds like they made up a word, like they were stuck on this title and somebody came up with this idea, treed, and they were like, yeah, good enough. I don't know. And it's like, why would you do that? Especially for I think this episode is an important episode. Why would you just kind of go, yeah, treed?
Merriam-Webster defines treed as planted or grown with trees.
Oh.
So a treed area is an area with trees in it.
So maybe they were saying that Ail and An or Alan and Ann were treed because they
would have trees on them then. Little trees all over them. Which, that'd be an interesting design. For a Cardian, if there was one in this episode.
Yeah.
But why don't we just get right to it?
Let's get right to it.
We open right into the action where we left off last time. The Sailor Scouts are trying to get through the roots of the Doom Tree to get inside the building to save Usagi. And Sailor Venus gets ready to fire off a crescent beam, but Ray stops her and says that she can feel that the Doom Tree may be sentient.
Yes.
Mommy, what does sentient mean?
Yeah, I know.
Is this for kids?
I know.
Mika,
Yeah.
be our Merriam-Webster. Tell us what sentient means.
You're going to put me on the spot. Well, like, I know what it means, but it's like one of those words like, okay, when you learn things, the way to know that you really...
Mika,
I don't
tell
know.
us what sentient means.
Can you tell I'm stalling? Sentient is like, it's basically like alive, like a conscience.
A conscience?
I don't know, because like plants
this tree feels bad.
Plants are alive, so of course the tree is alive, so it's not really like the same thing. Like it has thoughts.
The root, like, just break it down. The root sense, right?
Uh-huh.
It literally means...
it can feel and sense.
It literally means able to perceive or feel things, but colloquially, it means, to feel things subjectively, to be able to experience subjectivity. So the ability to feel, to examine those feelings, right? And to introspect.
Okay.
So dogs feel happy, but they don't think about the feeling of happiness. They don't think about their future. Animals act on instinct, so we don't say that animals are sentient.
I think some people would
the
argue
ability
that
to
they
perceive
are.
your own death.
Right.
Or to conceive of things subjectively. And animals, well, some people would say they are, but
yes, I think so.
Leave your possessions in your house to your dog and see how we do. And it varies, amongst animals, if we're going to try to talk about animal sentience, although this is a plant sentience situation that we're in. So, like, I love cats, and I think they're very intelligent, but they have not been bred in captivity or domestically for the ability to think outside of themselves. So when you go, look at that, look, cat, look over there. A cat will just go, yeah, you got your arm up. Yep. Arms up.
Yep.
Whereas dogs, not all of them, but dogs understand. You go, whoa, look over there. And dogs are like, what's over there?
Right.
Because we need them to do that, or we needed them to do that when we used them to hunt. If they couldn't do that, that dog's not going to stick around.
That makes sense. I just kind of always thought that cats didn't react that way because they just didn't care.
But cats, cats, like, they are about survival. They're about feeding themselves, and they're not about being in a unit. So when I'm sitting down and I open up a piece of, like, strawberry candy, and the cat hears the wrapper, cat comes sliding into the room. Sure. Now, the cat can't eat strawberry candy.
No.
Won't be interested in it at all. But associates the sound of wrappers with food and thinks, I'd like some food. So that is kind of a subjective thought.
Yeah. I had my dog growing up, she would come running into the kitchen whenever she heard cellophane from, like, cheese. She got super excited. I don't even think we actually even fed her cheese that often.
Yeah, dogs and cheese, I don't think that's
she
great
thought
idea.
that was, like, the greatest thing ever. So, yeah, I get that.
I don't know if you've heard... Freedom is the right of all sentient beings. That's a famous quote from Optimus Prime.
I knew it was Optimus Prime.
Here's another Prime quote.
Uh-oh.
Give me your face. Ray puts her hand on the famous face collector, Optimus Prime. Ray puts her hand on the tree and the roots retract, giving the girls access to the building. They rush inside. Inside, the girls are being attacked again by the tree using acid-spitting pods, which is a new thing. So, thanks, asshole.
I know.
Being an asshole is the right of all sentient beings.
Here you go.
So the tree shoots acid out of these pods, but Ray senses danger and jumps out of the way. Is Ray psychic? Am I just getting this now? I know she has, like, little girl in a Japanese ghost movie powers. Like, she can sense evil spirits and stuff. But she senses, like, a mind or a life in the tree. And then she seems kind of, like, precognizant when she dodges the acid. She's got Serra Sense.
I mean, I think to an I don't get it.
Serra Sense.
What is that?
It's like Spider Sense.
What?
Only it's Serra Sense.
Serra, like sailor. Okay, I get it. Sorry. I'm a little dense.
Density is the right of all sentient beings. I haven't done my Prime in a while. It's not very good.
It sounds a little like
transform and roll out.
Like Bryan Cranston doing Prime.
What?
Yeah, I don't know.
I am the freedom. All right.
I think yes, she to some extent, although not obviously, as we've seen, not always. It's not like she like always is like, oh, I have a sense this is a trap, or like, you know, we can't trust this person. Although
Let me build a fire.
Right. So I think they're trying to show us like more abilities maybe that Rei has through this.
Yeah, I mean, they
Kinda
definitely, yeah. I mean, the sailors they're kind of outclassed in this, but it's not for lack of trying. They certainly show a lot of stuff, which I'll talk about right now.
All right.
Giant vines close in around the girls, and the cats are there too. Much more acid is fired, but Sailor Mercury fires off a bubble spray freezing and freezes the pod solid. She should just spam that attack constantly.
Yeah, right.
Everybody's okay, but Luna did catch some acid, so she's a little bit hurt. She tells the sailors to keep going. All is not well, however. The vines are closing in once more. Not the four-piece band from Australia, but plant vines. Ray's had enough of this touchy-feely crap, and she just fire souls a hole in the wall that these sailors escape through. They run into an elevator, and we get that scene where the heroes are in the elevator, and they see the monster coming, and Ami's just like jamming the button, like, come on! Kids, don't do this.
I know!
In an emergency, use the stairs.
I know!
I'm surprised that in a country plagued by regular earthquakes, they aren't taking the stairs. I'm surprised that the Japanese Parents Council, or whatever their equivalent is, doesn't have a requirement that kids' cartoon shows like show them taking the stairs in a situation like this.
I agree. Do you think because this episode has some similarities to the one where
they took but that was like a magical space. The entire building was in another dimension. So
I know, but they took the stairs in that one.
Well, no, because Usagi and
Mamoru took the elevator.
Zoisei blew up the elevator.
That's right. They had no choice.
Yeah.
But I love, too, that not only are they in the elevator thinking that's a good idea, but it's Ami, the smart one, jamming the button. Like, why is this not working?
Well, she relies on machines. She had a little visor on, and she's like, come on, I'm the gadget girl.
This looks like this should work.
When Nefrite attacks him in the department store,
yes,
there's a whole elevator action situation there, too. So
that's true. There's
a
lot of elevator stuff.
No more elevators.
We're done.
We've got that quota filled.
We've done that. Maybe try escalators next time or something.
Anyway, they do not take the stairs, but the elevator is not going anywhere. Sailor Jupiter high kicks the emergency hatch on the roof open.
I love it.
And the girls clamber up into the elevator shaft just in time. Or do they? We see the vines crash into the open elevator. But yes, they do. Spoiler. Yeah, they do.
Next scene, yes.
On the roof, both Usagi and Mamoru writhe in the clutch of the Doom Tree's tentacles. They reach out to try and grab each other's hands, but just as they start to touch, their hands are kicked apart by Ail, who says, "Don't touch my Usagi!" And An appears and says, "Stay away from my Mamoru!" But for some reason, only An says, "So you do love her more than me. She's the only jealous one?" It's just going to go that way.
I don't understand it because
Real feminist show. Lame.
Yeah, show him be jealous too. That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Well, anyway, Ail says, No, baby, it's different. It's different than my love for you. Yikes. What's going on here?
Yeah, I know.
An is like, save it. Doomtree, kill Usagi. And Ail's like, no, kill Mamoru. And they're both trying to influence the tree, saying, I took care of you. No, you better listen to me. Oh, listen to me or there's going to be trouble. It's like when Lassie got lost and her owner and the kid who found her are both like, come on, Lassie. Come on, girl, come on. Only it's evil and mean and maybe Lassie has a gun. The Doomtree drains both Usagi and Mamoru's respective energies, and Ail and An are like, oh no, we didn't think this through. And they both rush to help their respective paramours or would-be paramours. The tree emits a blast of force or something. In this episode, there's just a lot of like, you fall down. Yeah. So they get blasted. Ail and An get blasted back, and the tree drops Usagi and Mamoru to the ground. Just then, the Sailor Scouts and the cats appear, and Mercury asks, Usagi, are you all right? And Usagi's like, not really.
I know, which I thought, it's honest, so I think that's good.
Ail and An are like, shoot. There's a lot of shoots. I still want to know what shoot means in mild Japanese curses that appear on kids' cartoons, but they're both like, shoot. And they also force blast the sailors, like they're using the force or something. They put their hand out,
Yes.
and I guess a wave of force
Some
comes out.
energy comes out.
Unclear.
Yeah. Yep.
Ray sends out a fire soul bird at the pair, but their eyes flash red, and it just dissipates on a shield that they make. This is as Dragon Ball as Sailor Moon has ever been so far. We get the start of a bubble, supreme, crescent, but Ail and An are like, no, that's useless. We're not doing that.
I know. I was like, ooh, triple, come on.
And they blast all the girls back. If only she got off that bubble spray freezing, this would be over.
Yes.
Ail and An keep blasting the girls, the cats. They're having a great time. And Usagi knows she has to act. We get Moon Crystal Power Makeup. And she transforms into Sailor Moon. Ail is like, whoa, Usagi's Sailor Moon? Yeah. Yeah, she is.
No.
You're the last person on the show who doesn't know. An is like, oh, no wonder she's so clumsy. That's good. That's a good one. Sailor Moon says, greenery is the life of the earth. They say God did not create one greenery to be better than another, nor one greenery to be less than another. Don't you remember? And the cats are like, what?
I know.
What? Usagi might have landed on her head back there. Skine Kawate Oshiokyo! An's ready to fight, but Ail hesitates because she's Usagi. An tells him if she really loved you, she wouldn't have transformed into Sailor Moon to fight you. It's logical.
Yeah.
Checks out.
Yeah.
Usagi checks on Mamoru, who seems hurt pretty bad. He struggles to take her hand, and Ail twists the knife on An, saying, see, he never loved you. Mm-hmm. It's almost like the two people who never in any way returned our affections didn't actually like us.
I know.
An screams, the deepest love breeds a hatred 100 times worse. And she blasts Usagi and Mamoru back. Ail is like, goodbye, Usagi. Doomtree, destroy this planet. And the humiliation of my first broken heart. Relatable.
I know.
Wish I had a Doomtree. The sailors leap to stop this, but they're blown back. Usagi attempts to moon healing halation, but she's blown back. That's a spam attack. Keep spamming that one. Mamoru says, Sailor Moon. But Usagi says, no, I'm Usagi. Please remember the Moon Kingdom, the times you rescued me, and the girl who loved you. Blast! An unleashes her powers on the pair. Usagi throws herself between the blast and Mamoru. Ail can't understand why she would do that, but Usagi says that she'd give her life for the person she loves. And An is like, oh, you're so noble. Yawn, blast. And Usagi takes it full force. An says, beg for your life. But Usagi instead says, please don't kill Mamoru. An says, nothing is more important than one's own life. She's an alien. She can't conjugate. And blasts again, but this time Mamoru throws himself in front of Usagi.
Yeah.
You know, if they go in shifts, they might be okay here.
Let's take turns.
But they don't.
No.
Mamoru takes blast after blast, intensified perhaps by An's jealousy. Ail has been pretty quiet, but he says, so this is love. It's not something you take by force. Love is something you nurture with care. And then Mako, for some reason, is like, yeah, excuse me, I'm in this show too. If it's for someone we care about, we can face any hardship. Cut to a darkened, empty room where Friendzone-chan sits by an unringing phone.
Oh,
Just had to
oh
get that
out
there. An is about to blast Jupiter down, but a white rose flies through the space Ail and An were as they teleport to safety. You guys did that already, but it's okay. It's cool. Standing on the Doom Tree is the Moonlight Knight. He says, all creatures in the universe are brothers and sisters. So Ail and An's relationship is okay.
Oh, my God.
And Pornhub just went out of business.
Whoa.
An says, you don't know me. We wandered the universe alone, taking what we needed to survive. The knight says, all you have now is hatred and pain. Ooh, whoopsh, got him. And An screams and blasts him back into the tree. At this, the tree itself screams. Everybody's screaming. And giant roots lash out at Ail and An. Ail is knocked to the ground, and An leaps in front of him as a huge, sharp root stabs down. She is impaled and falls to the ground. And Ail asks her, why? She says, I love you. I didn't want to lose you. I feel something warm inside of me. And outside of me. She dies.
I know.
Another root speeds towards Ail, and he tells An, I'll join you soon. But just before it hits, the tree speaks. Ahem. So, it's not Lord of the Rings.
Nice.
So you finally learned your lesson. The tree glows with an intense light, and Usagi and Ail find themselves floating in the void of the tree's consciousness. Story time!
Yep.
Long ago, the Doom Tree lived on a planet that was all ocean, but it was bored, so it made some elf kids. The elf kids were nourished by the tree's energy and lived in harmony with the tree. It was a nice environment. No, the tree literally says, it was a fun time. I want to know what that is in Japanese. Gradually, though, they began fighting over the tree's energy and stopped respecting the tree and became wicked. The tree still believed in them, but they invented nukes or something. Somehow they destroyed the planet with their fighting. They blasted the planet, and the tree and its few survivors wandered the universe looking for a planet to survive on. Only Ail and An eventually survived. What the tree needs, it says, is not energy, but love. So ask for love, I guess. The tree says it tried to tell them by drying up its body. It says with words that it can make, but it tried to tell them by drying up its body, but they never understood. Ail apologizes, and the tree says they know the lesson now of love. The tree asks Sailor Moon to purify it with the power of love. You came to the right place.
Yes.
Talking tree.
You totally did.
Moon Princess Halation. Cleansing.
I know. I love that it said cleansing. That was great.
The tree vanishes, but the Moonlight Knight says it will regenerate. I don't know how he knows. And just because we can't have any mysteries left, the knight removes his mask and he has Mamoru's face. Wow.
What?
What a surprise.
I am shocked.
He tells Usagi that Mamoru lost his memories, of course, after the battle with Queen Beryl, but the part of him who wanted to help Sailor Moon took on a life of its own, a shadow that would protect her when she was in danger. But his work is done. Mamoru remembers now, so the Moonlight Knight will join with him. Adieu.
Yeah.
And he does!
Yes.
Mamoru awakens, and he embraces Usagi as a sweet piano version of heart-moving plays.
Oh.
But hold on. An opens her eyes. She's gonna live. And she and Ail also embrace. Everyone is too happy to get grossed out by it. And we see that the Doom Tree has become a tiny sprout, which Ail and An say they will raise on a new planet with the power of their love. That will be a dot on a map. They fly off into the sky, and a new day dawns on Tokyo as Usagi and Mamoru share a moment. And then the girls pop out and tease them.
Yep.
The end.
The end.
Of question mark?
Yeah.
Of this chapter.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So,
thoughts.
Yeah.
Thoughts. For sure.
Let's hear them.
Well, my first thought is from the last episode. I would have given Yamandaka a lower rating if I realized that was it for Yamandaka. We would never see Yamandaka again.
I think the tree
I feel like they ran out of...
killed it.
The Cardian thing was a fun deal, but they really ran out of steam, and it really ended up... We spent all that time trying to figure out the nature of the cards and tarot, and just a thing.
Yeah, I know.
So much so that, the other one just kind of pooped out and died, and that was it. So
I think the Makai...
I don't know what we're rating this episode.
The Makai tree, just
oh no!
Just shoved their head into the floor.
But
there is no I know, and
didn't
turn back into a card.
Oh, well, I guess it wasn't cleansed, but yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe
Yamandaka's
out there somewhere. You see a pair of four pairs of eyes in the darkness.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And 6 hands fingers over the ledge. Also, I noticed this is something else that came before, but I just noticed it in the recap of this episode. But when the tree glows, like the bottom part of the tree, maybe this is just my fevered brain, but looks like a human heart.
Oh.
It's got like a, roundish or like a flattened roundish part, and then there's parts that go up into the tree, but they look like the vessels,
ventricles,
the aorta, and the.
Oh, okay, huh?
I don't know if that's significant, but
I never noticed that, but I could totally see that. Maybe that's just supposed to be a clue that it's
about love,
sentient, and about love. I don't know.
So it's about love. If the tree can talk, why is the tree doing this? So sorry, I'll get right to it. I'm not going to be around the bush.
Tree.
First of all, I was right. They became good. Second of all,
you were right.
I feel like we danced around but never really landed on the environmental message that's clear in this. taking care of
taking care
the earth
of
and your planet.
Your environment.
Yeah, and being one with nature. And
it's not, they don't hammer it home too hard.
They do now.
Well, yeah.
But it wasn't really a part, I don't think, of any of the rest of the
this
dialogue.
arc.
It's like in Wet Hot American Summer when they're doing like day by day and everybody's loving the number and everything they get done, and then they're all down on the ground, and then a neon cross lights up in the background, and people are like, yeah, boo! Not that I think that it's a bad message, either, I guess, Christianity, but environmentalism, but it was like never really part of it. And in America,
That's
we have
true.
entire shows that are all about heart and wood and water and
Captain Planet
and environmentalism. And this is just like, oh yeah, okay, I guess that's kind of what it was about, I guess.
I think that's a fair point, because I think that I think respect for nature and, your environment and that sort of thing is a big part of Japanese culture in general. But throughout this arc, they could have put that in more.
Well, I mean, it's there. They definitely have this tree. They take it for granted. It starts to go wrong, and they're like, "We'll just give it more electrolytes," and it doesn't want that, and it's all there. But I don't know. I guess it wasn't there enough to. Maybe it's a language thing. But where does Shinto stand on animism? Animism is that there is a spirit kind of in everything.
That's what. Okay, so Shintoism, they believe that there is a spirit or a kami or god in every natural thing.
Yeah, right. So that's animism.
So yeah, so Shintoism would believe that any tree, not just an alien tree that comes to a planet, it has its own kami, its own spirit.
Okay.
So, yes.
All right. So that all checks out.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. So it was all there, but it's the kind of thing that the director has to tell you in an interview on YouTube after you see the movie. Now, get back here, Christianity. We're not done with you.
Uh-oh.
There's a heavy religious message in this, too, that only comes up here at the end.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay. I want to hear your
I've complained
take.
about this all across to the people on the strangers on the street, but definitely in this, I don't know why you have this thing where you have to save the exposition for the end. It's good to have a mystery, but at some point the dam has to break, and we need the information about the bad guys and what's going on, so that the things that happen and the things that both our heroes and the villains do have context, and mean something.
Yeah.
And if we don't know anything about the tree or anything like that, and it's all saved as a fun last scene, last act exposition dump, it's just sort of like, oh, that's what happened, but it's already over, so I don't have any time to I
don't have time to process
think about it.
There's no denouement.
Yeah. And when it comes at the end, it just turns into, no, the tree is their god. They turned away from their god. And there wasn't any...
No, you're right.
There wasn't any... I mean, a tree, Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
There wasn't any, original sin that we see where Ail and An bite an apple sensually.
No.
But at some point, the trees people, the elf quest people... Oh, I just made that connection now. It's totally ElfQuest. Google it.
I don't get it.
The ElfQuest people turned away from the tree and warred amongst themselves.
Yes.
And the tree is trying to reach out to them, but for some reason, just like God, for some reason the tree can't, can't just say to them, knock it off.
I think
the tree has to no, you have to figure out to turn back to me and be good. But then at the end, the tree just goes, just screw it. So does that make on Jesus?
What? Why? Because she sacrificed herself?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's weird. I don't know how I feel about that, because she's not very altruistic.
It's like the Naoko Takeuchi or the creators of the series are like, no, I didn't know. What?
Yeah, I know, right?
We'll get him on the phone.
Yeah, right.
No.
Yeah. I was thinking that, just going back to the tree talking, but this is just my take.
Screaming trees.
Yeah. Maybe the tree didn't have the ability to talk until just then, but then if that is the case, why does it have the ability to talk now? But
the tree is, it's like the tree is just warmer, colder.
You think that's what it is?
Because the tree, when there is no like we don't get to see the fuel gauge for the tree, so we don't know.
True.
They keep trying to give it energy, but it turns out that doesn't matter because the tree needs love.
Yeah.
And maybe they loved the tree also, but can they love? They get to this planet.
I don't know
and they learn to love from Usagi and her example.
Yeah.
So then they can give the tree love, I guess. Maybe before they could, but as they reaved the universe, like looking for, this energy that I guess they never actually needed, because all the tree needs is love and it will give you energy.
Right.
It's this, it's just weird. I get the point of the tree and the elves, and I think it will almost make a good like story on its own, but then they have to like stick it into the world of Sailor Moon, and it's just, also we have cards that make monsters, and then
I know.
And the girls will defeat the monsters and we'll go, oh, those girls. But there's a tree that's just like, give me love.
I just want love.
Why is it it's growing heart flowers? Oh, that's weird.
Well, and I think it's like when it says like it tried to tell them by like drying up. It's
how are they going to get that?
Because they don't take care of plants.
But they also don't seem to know what love is.
Well, yeah, that too. But I was just thinking like if you're taking care of a plant, you as a person, and you're not taking care of it in the right way, you're not giving it enough water, it's going to dry up.
The water is
love. The water
though.
is love. Yeah, I
that's why my herbs died. And speaking of love,
yeah.
So the wish, that is to say the silver crystal power, doesn't work on love, I guess? Because
what do you mean?
She wishes for everybody's memories to be erased, basically. And we find out that they're not erased, they're just kind of suppressed.
You're talking about the end of season 1.
Yeah. They're suppressed, and so exposure to Usagi as Sailor Moon eventually, brings the other sailors' memories back.
Well, Luna gives their
and Luna
back.
does the mind meld or whatever. Luna mind meld.
Yes.
So all that's fine. But when she erases the entire Earth's memories of her, only not the guys in the marketing department who are putting a Sailor Moon show together. Or maybe they came to their work the next day and they're like, what are all these like mock-ups and sketches we've done? This looks great. What's it called?
Let's start circulating this.
Sailor Moon in my handwriting on this sketch. Weird. Never stops capitalism. But for Mamoru, his memories don't just get repressed. They form an entire other being who continues to do the work of Tuxedo Mask.
Yes.
And I don't know if this will ever be part of the show, because I don't think the show cares a lot about the details, but like, there just seems to be this, I know there's like a literal bond because they were, former souls and lovers together, but there just seems to be like this magical energy, like this commitment between them, where
connection.
Even if she, I'm going to wipe your memory, like that power, whatever that bond is, literally forms a guy in a turban who's going to keep doing that work.
Yes.
While Mamoru just reads Luna books at the bookstore.
Right.
That is weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's supposed to be romantic, but it's strange.
I think
also, you got to make the joke about
romantic.
I know that it's not a lot of time and people are lying dead and stuff, but you have to make the joke about it, like, there's 2 Mamorus?
Yeah, you have to.
That's twice as many dates. But they didn't have time to do that. Backtracking is back for an all-new season. Hi, I'm Caliban.
And I'm Gooey Fame.
And we'd like to introduce you to Backtracking, the podcast that explores the real-world inspirations behind your favorite episodes of Star Trek.
From historical events to classical literature to blockbuster films, we go where no pod has gone before to seek out the origins of classic Trek tales.
Did you know, Gooey, that the TNG episode Too Short a Season was an allegory for the Iran-Contra affair?
Yeah, only sweatier. Did you know that the Enterprise episode Regeneration was an homage to the John Carpenter film The Thing?
Archer and T'Pol freezing to death over a bottle of whiskey would have been a controversial ending.
As a dog lover, Archer would not like The Thing, I'm guessing.
Oh my god, movie night is canceled. Join us every other Thursday for a journey back to the beginnings of the Trek universe.
Backtracking is available wherever you get your podcasts.
No, Porthos!
For Kyo Miro, or Curiously Looking Around, where we talk about elements of Japanese culture within the episode. In honor of the Makai tree, today we are going to talk about bonsai. Bonsai, which literally translates as tray planting, is a Japanese art form which uses horticultural methods to create, in containers, small trees that reflect the shape and scale of full-size trees.
It's a scale model of a tree.
Pretty much.
Made out of tree.
Made out of tree.
Okay.
Made out of real tree.
Yeah.
And the term bonsai, which is a Japanese pronunciation of the Chinese term penzai, kind of became, at least in the West, or maybe even worldwide, kind of like this umbrella term for, these small planter trees. But there are other versions, it's just like it became so popular that became the term that is used for all miniature trees, even though they're not all technically bonsai, if that makes sense.
Sure. So if you go into a plant store owned by a Japanese person, you're like, oh, I want a bonsai tree, and they're like, right, I know what you mean.
Well,
but it's not actually. He knows it's not actually bonsai they're looking for.
Okay, maybe I need to clarify. I mean,
maybe I need to just not talk.
I just mean there are other cultures that have similar things.
Okay,
it's not.
Maybe this guy is Korean in my example.
Sure.
And he's like, sure, bonsai.
Right, right, exactly. Okay. So the purpose of bonsai are principally basically contemplation for the observer and the enjoyable endeavor of and finesse of the grower artist, if you will, the person who is taking care of the tree.
Okay.
A bonsai is produced by starting with a specimen of base material. So this could be a cutting, a seedling, or a small tree of a species that is suitable for bonsai growth.
Like what species are suitable for bonsai growth?
Well, they're...
I mean, you don't have to tell me the specific ones. But
right.
I know that they've got... Are they like deciduous or...
Well, their bonsai can be produced from almost any perennial woody stemmed tree or shrub.
Huh.
So, another key factor is that they have true branches and can be trained to remain small by planting it in a small pot.
Sure.
And pruning both its leaves or needles and its roots. So there's a lot of species that fall into that category. And some tree or bush types are popular bonsai because they have attributes such as small leaves or needles that make them ideal for miniature versions of full-grown trees. So they have like tiny little leaves, or they have tiny little needles. So they have that look that like they're just smaller versions.
Conifers.
Yeah. So the original specimen is shaped to be proportionately small in scale and to meet the aesthetic qualities of bonsai. When the original plant nears its planned final proportion, it is planted in a display pot, typically one made for bonsai display in one of a few accepted shapes and sizes. And the pot is important too because it's adds to
part of the presentation,
part of the aesthetics, and also the size of the pot is important because that determines how much their roots can grow, that sort of thing. Once it's planted in the display planter, its growth is limited by the pot. Throughout the year, the bonsai is shaped to restrict growth, reallocate foliage growth to sections of the plant that need more development, and meet the artist's detailed design for the bonsai. And I think it's important to also point out that it is, even though these are plants, the people who...
They're sentient.
Right. The people who tend to grow bonsai, cultivate bonsai are often considered to be artists.
Sure.
And it is considered to be an art. Bonsai utilizes horticultural methods such as trimming, root reduction, defoliation, potting, and grafting to produce miniature trees that mimic the shape and style of full-size mature trees. The Japanese art of bonsai originally came from the Chinese custom of penjing. And it, starting in the 6th century, representatives from the Japanese Imperial Embassy and Buddhist students from Japan were visiting China, and they were bringing back ideas and wares, and some of that...
And religion.
Yeah, a lot of things,
and philosophy.
Right? Yes, exactly.
Lots
of influences. And one of those things, it was container plantings. And these container plantings started to show up in Japanese writing and art. The earliest depiction was in 1195, in which the scroll called Saigyo Monogatari Emaki depicted a miniatured potted tree. So there is a close association between Zen Buddhism in Japan and planter trees with bonsai aesthetics, and that started to develop in this period. And in this period, Chinese Chan, which is pronounced as Zen in Japanese, Buddhist monks they taught at Japanese monasteries. And one of the things that they taught was they introduced political leaders to varying arts of miniature landscapes. And this was seen as an estimable achievement for educated men with discerning taste. So potted landscape designs going up to this time period included miniature figurines, which was popular from the Chinese style of miniature plantings. And Japanese artists modified the art to make it simpler style for bonsai, and kind of elevating the focus on the tree by getting rid of the miniatures and other ornaments and utilizing smaller scale and also plainer pots. Because a big part of the planting in China was how decorative the pot was. Mm-hmm. And they just kind of wanted the design to be more simple. And around the 14th century, the word for dwarf planter trees was Hachi-no-ki, or the bull's tree. And this specified utilization of a fairly deep pot instead of the shallow pot indicated by the heightened term of bonsai. Hachi-no-ki, the potted trees, is also the title of a no play by Zeami Motokiyo, who lived in 1363 to 1444. And it's a tale about a poor samurai who burns his last 3 potted trees, which he had been diligently caring for firewood to warm a traveling monk. The monk, it turns out, is actually a political official incognito who later rewards the samurai for his kindness. The story was later depicted, it was so popular, it was later depicted by several artists in woodblock prints, and there is even a fabric design with the same name. So this is one of the things within Japanese culture that kind of brought the idea of bonsai to more people. As silly as it sounds.
Man, I'm glad I burned those trees.
I know. I'm a poor samurai, and I burned my beloved trees, but now I have
you see the
land,
insidious,
and I know.
the insidious cultural lesson there, which is give literally everything you have, every last drop of blood and every item that you have,
and you'll be rewarded
to the government, and and you'll be rewarded.
That's when you sit and think about it, that's really depressing.
Yeah, this is a leftist Sailor Moon podcast. That's right.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway.
There are bonsai that were cultivated in the 17th century that are still alive today.
No way.
Yep. These plants take a lot of care and attention, so that means that the responsibility has been passed down. One of the oldest known living bonsai, considered one of the national treasures of Japan, is in the Tokyo Imperial Palace collection. It's a 5-needle pine known as Sandai Shogun no Matsu and is recorded as having been fostered by Tokugawa Iemitsu, who was the third shogun of the Tokugawa dynasty and ruled from 1623 to 1651.
Yeah, but isn't tradition a little more important than facts to the Japanese government? Come on.
Yeah.
A 500-year-old tree?
Yeah.
Come on.
You don't think so?
Maybe some species of trees can live that long or are reported to have lived that long, but come on. Well,
bonsai in general, actually, if they're taken care of well, they can live for a really, really long time. And it is often given from, bequeathed to other family members to take care of, to continue to take care of.
Yeah.
You don't think that's a real thing?
I've been doing some estate sales.
Here's somebody's beloved bonsai
Haven't seen
tree.
Bonsai trees there.
Oh, man, that's depressing. That's really sad. After 1800 in Japan, bonsai started to progress from being this obscure art form of a few experts to becoming a widely popular art form and pastime. Emperor Meiji, who ruled during the Meiji period from 1868 to 1912, named after him, fostered interest in bonsai, which expanded its significance and appeal to his government staff, as well as the people at large.
The boss is doing it.
Yeah, right, exactly. And then during this time, there's books and magazines that are coming out about it. So there's information is being widespread, right?
Bonsai Weekly.
Yeah, right, exactly.
All the best needle types.
Yes. Bonsai shaping methods, tools, and aesthetics become increasingly sophisticated as its popularity increases in Japan. In 1910, the idea of shaping bonsai with wire instead of string, rope, or burlap techniques was first documented in the book Sanyu-en Bonsai Dan, or History of Bonsai in the Sanyu Nursery. So, and then in the 1920s and 1930s, toolsmith Masakune the first helped design and produce the first steel tools specifically made for bonsai cultivation. These tools included the concave cutter, which is a branch cutter fashioned to leave a shallow depression on the trunk when a branch is pruned. And apparently, if cared for correctly, this depression will eventually fill in with live tree tissue, greatly decreasing or completely removing typical pruning scar and filling in with bark as well.
Right. I thought that this guy named himself Masakune the First.
Well, I think that maybe people were... I don't know if he named himself that, but yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. Like, that doesn't really happen in Japan.
Okay, dude.
Yeah, okay. All right. But there is
First of my line.
But there is still a Masakune bonsai tool company in Japan.
Sure.
Yeah.
And his son was probably like, okay, I'll be Masakune the second.
Yeah,
but then
right,
his
right,
kid's
right.
like, my name's Johnny, Dad. His kid's alive now.
I know. Well, and it might be just like the way that they refer to them. It might be the family name, but why would you do that if it's the family name? I don't know.
King of trees.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I like that. Going back to the influence of Zen Buddhism, part of that is the expression of wabi-sabi, which I think we've mentioned just briefly before.
Isn't that a tequila, right?
Is it?
Yeah, that's Sammy Hagar's tequila.
I don't know. So in traditional Japanese aesthetics, wabi-sabi is basically a worldview that focuses on the acceptance of imperfection or impermanence. And the aesthetic is sometimes expressed as one of basically appreciating beauty that is, quote, imperfect, impermanent, and incomplete in nature.
This is the cherry blossom viewing thing, or right?
Yes. Yeah, the appreciating of impermanence. Yes, exactly.
I pay attention.
Yeah, and wabi-sabi, I think, is something that maybe we should come back to on another Kero Kuromiru. But it is, you're just laughing at the term.
Okay. I'll read up on the Red Rocker.
Okay. All right.
These are the oldest, dumbest references ever.
Oh, okay.
All right. Anyway, just continue.
But I'll try. Basically, it's a huge part of Japanese culture, and you can see it in a lot of different art forms and traditions. But qualities of wabi-sabi aesthetics and ideas include asymmetry, simplicity, roughness, austerity, intimacy, modesty, and the appreciation of natural objects and the basically the forces of nature. So
Okay.
it's kind of like an appreciation of nature, things, you think of like the tide, it comes in, it goes out, and there's a rhythm to things, but things don't stay the same and that sort of thing. And
Yeah. Speaking.
So,
okay.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Speaking. I wonder if it puts me in the mind of Picasso, who throughout his career eschewed the idea of art's value or needing to capture perfectly with technical detail. Something, that was the progression of his career. As he got older, that's why he, started. I mean, he definitely was influential in like Cubism and abstract art.
yeah, for sure.
Because he's like, who cares if you can make, you're not Delacroix, it's not, you don't have to recreate a face perfectly. Like, what is,
What are you trying to express?
What are you trying to express?
Yeah.
What are you trying to capture? And why don't you capture many things or capture things that people don't see? And, and near the end of his life, he was just, making drawings in the sand. And
Sure.
the waves would wash them away. And it's like, that was a Picasso. And it's like, yeah, but I'm going to do something else in 2 seconds. Watch this, and do something
Yeah,
else. So.
that reminds me of what the mandalas, the sand mandalas that monks create, and they're gorgeous and they're detailed, and there's all these different color sands, and then they're
like,
just gone.
7 p.m. Go home.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, what are you going to do? It would be, the
You take a picture.
instinct of you take it. Well, yeah, I mean, now it's all on Instagram.
Now
but,
you do, right?
But yeah, it would be the instinct. No, we got to lacquer this, then we're going to hang it up
Right.
somewhere, and it's
Right.
like that's not why we did it. We did
No.
it to do it,
Right.
not so we could go. Remember that time we did that thing?
Yeah. Right. No. Yeah.
It's like the anti-Instagram. Not that there's anything wrong with Instagram,
There's
but it's just
not.
like the need to chronicle every single thing I'm doing and the thing I'm eating and the place that I've been.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, but you remember eating it, you remember being there, you were there.
But now you have to not only document it for yourself, but
Well, you're
the
documenting it for your
world.
millions of followers,
Right.
and your endorsement deals.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't say no. We'll get there someday.
Hey, is there a dongo company out there that wants to endorse us? For Odongo Otama. Anyways,
Send us dongos.
yeah, we wouldn't say no. So besides like miniaturization, another thing that is important with bonsai is basically proportion, like making sure that the tree is really proportionate. Asymmetry again is a big part, and basically the idea that yes, there is a carer, an artist, a designer behind this tree, cultivating this tree. But when you look at the bonsai, you don't want to necessarily see that in the tree. You want it to be natural and kind of like speak for itself. And yes, their expression is there, but you don't want to be like, oh, that's a famous bonsai artist,
Yeah, it's ironic because you are meticulously like caring
Yes.
for this thing,
Right.
but it's supposed to look like a tree that
Natural.
would just be on a windy outcrop somewhere.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's it exactly. And
And if they can keep that cognitive dissonance in their head,
I know.
more power to them.
Yeah. Itadakimasu with Usagi. What did Usagi eat this episode? No food in this episode.
Yeah,
So
no time to eat.
we ain't got time to eat. And before we get to Villain Gauge, I wanted to talk briefly about the Moonlight Knight and give a little more info on where the idea of this kind of came from.
Okay.
So the Moonlight Knight is most likely a reference to the fictional tokusatsu and anime superhero Moonlight Mask.
Moonlight Mask.
Yes.
Wow.
This character first appeared in 1958 on the black and white TV that bore his name. The TV show that bore his name. It was created by writer Kohan Kawauchi, and Moonlight Mask is best described as a mysterious costume vigilante. Only the audience knew that Moonlight Mask was most likely Detective Juro Iwai, who always seemed to disappear as the masked hero showed up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a secret identity. It's he's got a mask. It's like a Zorro thing.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Batman was around.
Well, Zorro
it's
existed
1958.
before Batman.
Well, that's true too. Yeah. It is definitely very, very, very Zorro-y, I think.
I think it's so Japanese though that like the whole point of Zorro and even Batman is that he is a crusader, of the night that helps the helpless.
Right.
But in the day, he's like, I don't know, whatever. I don't really get into like politics. You know what I mean? Like he's like, that's a disguise.
Yes.
But if you're, let's see, he fights evil by night, but fights evil by day as a cop. It's like, well, I wonder who the knight is. Like Bruce Wayne acts like a jerk, so nobody will think that he's Batman.
That's a really good point. Yes.
Don Diego's
absolutely.
like, the Spanish, whatever. California's fine. And then at night, he's like kicking the Spanish's ass. But the Japanese are like, no, nobody's going to buy that. This guy's a hero through and through.
Yeah, he's a cop. And then he becomes a masked hero.
Right.
So yeah, Moonlight Mask wore mostly white, a white long sleeve shirt, white pants, a white and red cape, a white scarf, dark sunglasses.
I wish that the Moonlight Knight had cool sunglasses.
Right? I think that would have been awesome.
And you.
I know. A cloth face mask, a turban with a yellow crescent moon embellishment, and yellow gloves and boots.
Okay.
Moonlight Mask has a lot of weapons. Shuriken, moon-shaped boomerangs, a whip, and 2 6-shooters.
Sure.
It's like, okay, just throw in a kitchen sink. And he rides a motorcycle. He's Batman.
I wish he'd had that too.
He's a Japanese Batman. I mean, besides the guns.
Where was his motorcycle?
Where was his motorcycle? I know. So the film Supergiant, known as Starman in America, is Japan's first superhero on film. The first film he was in 1957, but it was Moonlight Mask, or Gekko Kamen in Japanese, who set the standard as Japan's first live-action TV superhero, and was a huge success with children. TV was new in Japan at the time, so many kids who didn't have TV would go to a friend's house to watch. It was that popular. And I think probably similar to, in the West, maybe there wasn't a lot of options for stuff that was on. So it was like, yeah, okay, this is awesome. Toei Films produced 6 Moonlight Mask theatrical movies screened in theaters from 1958 to 1959 that ran during the original's TV series run. This was Toei's first foray into the tokusatsu superhero genre, although their first original superhero production was the TV series 7 Color Mask in 1959. So this is another Toei production, Toei who's doing Sailor Moon.
Right.
So there's a lot of connections here. All 6 films are in black and white as well, and are essentially feature-length adaptations of the TV show's popular story arcs, and were filmed in Toeiscope, which is 2.35, and I don't know film scopes, and then there's like a :1, so I don't know what that means.
It's just that's the aspect ratio.
Okay, so that's what Toeiscope is.
It's
in
wide,
quotation marks.
Yeah, it's wider than I didn't go to film school either, but it's wider than 35 millimeter or whatever. But it's
okay.
You know, but it's not like super Panavision or whatever. But
right.
yeah, it's a wide picture, an encompassing picture.
Children also dressed up and played as Moonlight Mask a lot. This does have a little bit of an unfortunate twist here.
Wow.
Unfortunately, a boy in Japan emulating one of Moonlight Mask's stunts jumped to his death, which resulted in the show's cancellation on July 5th, 1959, following the ending of the final story arc, Don't Turn Your Hand to Revenge.
Don't get up on a building and you're not the Moonlight Mask.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Toei's films, however, continued to show in theaters throughout most of August in 1959. Moonlight Mask returned to film in the 1981 tokusatsu movie Moonlight Mask, which bombed at the box office.
Whoops.
Yeah. There was also a 1999 joke anime series called Gozonji Gecko Kamen-kun, or We Know You, Moonlight Mask-kun in English, which was a comedic take on the character.
Oh, they Batmaned it in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So,
that's fascinating.
Yeah.
So this is like Japanese Batman. I mean,
he's
the Japanese
like,
love
yes.
Batman too, but
yes, they do.
But that's fascinating.
Yeah.
And then some dumb kid ruined the whole thing.
I know, right?
No.
It was going so well. I mean, it's awful. It's really awful.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Pow. How do you sock?
I know,
How do you
right?
do that? What's the onomatopoeia in Japanese?
Oh,
you just have to do it in.
That's a really good question. I'm sure I know there are
kanji.
words for it, though. You know.
Yeah. Huh.
So yeah, I thought you would. You know, I thought that was interesting. I went looking because I was like, there's not a lot of information about the Moonlight Night, and there has to be something.
Yeah.
There has to be. So.
And a Japanese view. Well, I mean, young kids maybe not. Maybe their parents would walk by the screen and go, "Oh, what is this? Like the Moonlight Mask?
Mm-hmm.
What's that, Papa?" Oh, well, let me tell you. And at the end of the story,
right.
don't get up on a roof with a cape on.
Right. I know. Maybe they probably decided not to give him sunglasses because they wanted you to see his eyes and stuff like that, and maybe also not associate it too closely, but also paying homage to Moonlight Night. So
there is. Oh, here comes Cal with his dumb facts. There is. Dragon Ball is based in part on Superman, which we talk about when we talk about Dragon Ball on an episode of Animification.
Yes.
Our Patreon podcast.
Yes.
That you can listen to if you join our Patreon. And they made that more explicit in the second half of Dragon Ball Z when Gohan is older and he's in high school. So he fights crime with his powers, but he has a secret identity to do it because he isn't like his dad, where his dad is just like this weird god that flies in and stops monsters from destroying City 4 or whatever. And he's the Super Saiyan Man. And he has a cape and like a tunic and a turban and sunglasses.
Oh, I bet I would not be surprised if that's a reference to Moonlight Mask as well.
Yeah.
It sounds like it. Feeling Gauge, where you rate a baddie 1 to 5 dark stars, 5 being the most wicked. No Cardian this week. Instead, I thought we could rate Ail, An, and the Makai tree.
All 3?
Yeah.
It's our first triple rating.
I know.
Oh boy.
So I guess I'll go first.
Sure.
I almost feel like I have to talk about Ail and An together. I'll give them separate ratings, but I really enjoy Ail and An, and just like the fact that they're the bad guys, obviously, but they seem like they're relatable, and I like that they are, good in the end. And I also really enjoy the love square between
Love square,
yeah,
baby.
between Ail, An, Usagi, and Mamoru. And that whole dynamic and all the stories that that helps produce. I also really enjoy seeing Ail and An trying to fit in as humans, because they've decided that in order to do that they have to go to school, and they're like, what is love? And so love means food. So An, I got you all this food and I made this thing. What do I do with it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Some of the Cardians were better than others, but I think that overall, I really enjoyed Ail and An. So, and I think that they were pretty good bad guys and antagonists. So I'm going to give them 5 out of 5 dark stars.
Wow. Well, then I don't feel bad about giving them 4 out of 5 dark stars.
Oh, okay.
And you didn't rate them separately.
Oh, I'm going to give them both 5 out of 5.
Well, I refuse to rate them separately because they come together.
They do, kind of.
Going to move on from that. Yeah. I'm going 4 out of 5 dark stars provisionally. I think they're probably worth more of a 3 out of 5 dark stars. But I'm going to go 4, and I'll explain why. Because I'm thinking back to my ratings of the 4 Heavenly Kings and Beryl and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. And it has to fit into a continuum with them, right?
Oh. Okay.
Well, it's too late. And they definitely...
I want to change my rating.
Don't reach up... No, they don't reach up to a Zoisite. Not even close.
They don't.
But I similarly like the things that you like. I like the fact that they are not evil, just their children.
Right.
And I've talked about that before. And I think that there was a lot of potential for things that we could have done with them. We could have really seen that arc. And I feel like, this is dumb because they're not real, but I feel like the show let them down in that way. I feel like the creators of the show juggled too much, and they brought their arc to a close. We're going to move on to something else. And I feel like maybe not the whole 39 episodes or whatever it is, but we definitely could have gone farther with them, seeing them really have this. We laid the groundwork a couple episodes earlier with them talking about love is what you take or whatever.
Yes.
And that really pays off here. But there's still even learning going on here.
Yes.
And maybe we could have seen, I don't want to write the show for them, but maybe we could have seen a break there where maybe An goes full evil and Ail becomes more good to try and help stop her. But none of that happened.
Yeah,
but it's all there, and it could have happened. Mm-hmm. And I did like almost as much as them calling forth Cardians or losing control of Cardians or what have you. I did like when they were humans and they're like, here's a lobster, that's love. Or they're going to the laser tag place or whatever. Like, I liked their human hijinks as well. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. And I just remembered because we saw them, as aliens for a long time this episode. I remembered how much I liked their design. They just look good.
They have a cool design.
Yeah, and I like when they were like really working together and they're like, ha 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 ha, evil laughing and stuff like that in this episode. So yeah, a lot of style, a lot of potential.
Yes. Not
fully realized, but I'll give them a 4.
Okay. The Makaiju. The Makai tree. I mean, you're sentient, but apparently you didn't have the ability to talk apparently until the end, or it was a test. I don't know. How much do you love me? You don't love me. I need to tell you I need love because you're not loving me. I mean, obviously very powerful, and you are able to create this entire species of elf people, and everything's going good for a while, but it's like nobody taught them how to love, so why are you mad that they don't know how to love you? And you created them because you were bored. How long has the Makai tree been taking negative vibes, do you think?
Negative vibes? What?
Like negative, like energy. Like, how long have the elf aliens been feeding
how many
them?
Worlds have they gone to and drained the energy of babies of, is what you're saying.
Yes.
And the Makai tree never said anything.
Yeah.
Just give your rating.
Okay, I'm gonna give it 3 out of
2.
5. 2?
Yes.
I love how you just cut me off.
Well, I want to get to the end of this. What a withholding, bitchy kind of, do you know what I mean?
True.
I mean, everything that you said.
Yeah.
And got bored, created sentient life, left them to fend for themselves, never said anything.
Didn't try to give them any direction.
Great comment on religion, bad character, 2 out of 5.
All right.
Yeah, that's right. I cut down the tree.
You sure did. For Sabu or Dabu, where we talk about the most interesting differences between the sub or the dub. In the dub, the scene at the beginning where Venus is about to attack the Makai tree and Mars tells her to stop is cut. And then in the original, Mars tells the Senshi that the Makai tree is sentient, but in the dub, this was changed to her telling them that the tree is alive and wants them to save it.
Okay.
So that's how they at least got around it. And
then it immediately attacks them.
yeah, I know, right?
I'm sorry. I'm a terrible, I'm a fickle tree god, whatever.
Save me faster. In the dub, instead of the elf children defiling the Makai tree with their energy and their bad mojo, they're
Is that what happens? We disagree about what happens in the show.
Okay, I mean,
the tree never says anything like that.
Oh, okay.
It tells them, I dried myself up to get your attention.
Yeah.
I hurt myself to make you feel something. What is this, a 9 Inch Nails song?
Oh my god.
So it doesn't seem to have anything to do with the energy that they harvest and give to the tree.
Okay.
There's an unexplored.
Okay. All right.
This is
I guess that was my rating into it.
This is this borderline tree.
I know, right? Rating's going down, Makaiju.
We're draining it here.
But basically in the dub, the cause of the children, like giving the tree energy or whatever have you, was evil forces, quote unquote, were responsible for influencing or affecting the children and giving them that. I don't know what these evil forces are, or it's unnamed.
Yeah,
doesn't really seem to help.
No, really dilutes the metaphor.
I think so too.
I'm assuming they're trying to make.
Right, I agree.
But kids.
I know, right? We got to make it more digestible, I guess. So now we're at our rating, where we rate the episode. I really enjoyed this episode, and I think that overall it was a really good end to this arc. I love how sweet Usagi and Mamoru are with each other, and how awful Ail and An are, and then how they see how Usagi and Mamoru are relating to each other, and then it just switches to them just getting it, even though like this entire time they've been like, oh, love is what you take, and then obviously it's not. And I think I also just like episodes that make me cry. So I'm gonna give this one, I really want to give it 5 out of 5 roses. So I think that's what I'm gonna go with.
Okay. 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
Solely for the Mamoru Usagi stuff, and also just the payoff, the long awaited payoff of the Ail and An relationship. In literature, that's called foils. That's a foil.
Yeah, right.
So they serve as an example for them. Now, if Usagi and Mamoru had really done anything, I know they babysat a kid, but mostly they were kind of apart for like a lot. They were interacting more in the first season than this. Yes. And so if Ail and An were able to see more, maybe the relationship between Usagi and Mamoru deepening and growing.
Yeah, right.
Other than just doing a 2 kids and a little baby subplot, then it would make more sense, rather than cramming both the exposition, the explanation of who the Moonlight Knight was, the explanation where the tree came from, and Ail and An seeing like what real love is, all into 10 minutes of the last episode.
It's a lot.
Yeah, 4 is kind of generous, but it did move me as well. I'm excited to see where it's going to go now. It's in uncharted territory.
I know.
Everybody's got their memories back, and we have to deal with that now.
I know.
So I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, 4 out of 5.
Okay.
But like 4 out of 5. Like my shoulder's going,
I guess.
4 out of 5. Yeah.
I wanted to mention too, like, do you think that like Mako responding to Ail about love is a response to?
They all have love in their past.
I know, but do you think it's specifically because she was crushing on him and like
yeah, Mako's got to get her big foot in there somehow. But they could have. I think that they were rushed, but every single one of the sailors could have
had
except
a
for
line.
Ray. Ray has no love.
Aww.
Yeah, my grandpa. Oh, geez, I gotta get a boyfriend.
Well, what's his name? Who works at the shrine?
No. If anything, she had feelings for Mamoru, and so that could somehow come in. But then that's that weird thing that we should have resolved in the ski slope episode.
Yep,
where she
I agree.
gives her blessing.
Yeah.
So maybe she would just stay silent, like, "Yep," single tear on the inside. But no, I don't know. Like, somebody had to do it, and so, Mako just says something.
Yeah. All right.
You know who the real fifth wheel is?
Who?
Artemis. Why is he still around?
Oh,
he's not doing anything.
Poor Artemis.
Just dragging him from place to place.
I know.
Hey, put your paw in there. Go ahead, do it. Do it. Touch it.
I know.
Do it.
She's so mean to him. My English title for this episode is The Makaiju's Desire, Love Shower.
Love Shower. Presented without comment. My Deke title is, these have gotten so twisted.
I know.
We have to repilot next episode as the show is kind of repiloting, I'm assuming, and going into a season 2.5. But my Deke title is Loving the Ail and An.
Like loving
the alien.
Loving the alien. Okay,
the
yeah.
third single from David Bowie's 16th album tonight.
Oh my God, that's pretty good.
Is it?
Well, it's paying. You're paying homage to their initial joke of their names. So I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, as we see them off.
Yeah.
As they go back to their own planet.
Adieu. Yeah, right. Next episode, we are talking about episode number 60. Tenchi, Akuma, Sora kara kita nazo no shoujo in Japanese. Angel or Devil, The Mysterious Girl from the Sky, the English translation, and the English title, Serena Times 2.
Oh boy. It's going to get weird.
Yeah.
It's going to get weird.
It is going to get weird.
I know there's a lot to come.
Yep.
But, you should have never told me, it's, there's more.
What does that mean?
There's a lot of seasons.
Yes.
And some of them are good. And others aren't. And
I never said that there were bad seasons.
And some of them happen later than the earlier ones.
Oh my goodness.
I don't want to see the quality of the show decline. Every show I've ever loved, I've run into the ground. Except for Farscape, which remains consistently good for 4 seasons and its miniseries movie finale. So go out and get Farscape and watch it if you want to watch a good sci-fi show.
It's very good.
Shows, they just kind of keep going, and then sometimes they should stay dead, and hey, let's do another one. And so I'm just...
Okay, well,
I'm a practical person.
Reserve our judgment.
Some would say cynical.
Yeah,
and so therefore,
okay.
I look to the future with hope and a lot of fear.
I think it's going to be
like
better than you think, Optimus. Give me your face. Well, that's our show for this week, and the Name of the Moon will be punishing you next week with another episode of Sailor Noob.
Give me your face.